You ever feel that weight in your chest that comes out of nowhere? Like someone's thinking about you hard. Not just passing thoughts, but the kind that stir something deep inside you. You can't explain it, but it's real. It's late, quiet, and for some reason your mind drifts to her. And guess what? She's thinking about you too. Right then. Sitting in bed, staring at her screen, fingers hovering above the keyboard. She opens your chat. Types. Stops. Deletes. Starts again. Then nothing. Just silence. But don't mistake that silence for peace. It's not calm. It's chaos dressed up in quiet. You're not out of her mind, not for a second. She just can't bring herself to send it. Because once she does, the truth comes out. The truth that she still cares. Still wonders. Still feels more than she wants to admit. See, there's a part of her that wants to break down and ask how you've been. Not just to check in, but to feel that old connection again, if only for a second. But sending that message? That's surrender. That's lowering the walls she built to protect herself from the storm of emotions she's barely holding back. She's not texting you because she's strong. She's not texting you because she's scared. And that fear is louder than any feeling. Fear that maybe you won't reply. Or worse, you will, but not the way she hopes. Cold, distant, different. And that's what breaks her. So instead she waits. Holds her breath in the silence. Hopes you'll reach out first so she doesn't have to expose the ache she's been hiding. She's trying to convince herself you don't matter anymore, but every time she checks your name, her heart argues back. She wonders if you feel it too. That invisible string still pulling even when words are gone. She wonders if your silence means you've moved on, or if you're just as frozen as she is. Because silence isn't always indifference. Sometimes it's paralysis. A storm of emotion behind locked lips. And here's what you don't see. She writes that message over and over. At red lights. In the bathroom. In the middle of the night. Draft after draft, never sent. Her thumbs hesitating, her mind racing. It's not a lack of feeling. It's the weight of it. She wants to reach out. God, she wants to. But reaching out means unraveling everything she's tried to hold together. Pride. Ego. The illusion of control. One message and it all cracks. So she chooses silence. Not because she's over it, but because silence is safer than vulnerability. And in that silence, she hopes you somehow feel her. Even without the words. There's a storm inside her. Loud, restless, relentless. One side says text him. Just reach out. Just say something. The other side? It says don't you dare. Don't be the first to fold. Don't give him the satisfaction. That's the fight. Not love versus hate. Not anger versus forgiveness. No, it's heart versus pride. Her heart remembers the way you held her when she cried. The way your voice softened when she was unsure. The way you stayed quiet just to listen. Her heart remembers safety, warmth, laughter. The kind that didn't need effort. It just existed. But pride doesn't care about memories. Pride remembers that last argument. That moment you walked away. The silence that followed. It keeps replaying your last words, twisting them, sharpening them, turning them into weapons she uses against her own softness. So now she's stuck. She picks up her phone with full intent. She's ready to give in. To be real. To let her heart win just this once. But then she pictures you reading that message. Maybe smiling. Maybe not replying fast enough. Maybe showing your friends. And suddenly she's embarrassed for feeling. So she stops herself. Every time. Because pride whispers things the heart doesn't want to hear. He should have tried harder. He didn't fight for you. You deserve better. And she listens not because it's true, but because it helps her stay standing. She's not ready to feel like she's losing. That's what pride tells her texting you would mean. A loss. A step back. A sign of weakness. But here's the truth no one admits. Pride never gives closure. It gives power, but it's cold power. Empty. It can keep her from reaching out, but it can't stop her from missing you at 2 a.m. when the world is quiet and the bed feels too big. She's torn between wanting to be real and needing to be strong. And right now, strong wins. Not because it feels better, but because it feels safer. So she posts something vague. Looks calm on the outside. But inside, she's screaming. She wants to break the silence, but she's terrified it'll break her. And this is what most people never see, the bravery it takes to say nothing when everything inside you wants to scream, "I miss you." But saying that means tearing down the walls she built to protect herself. It means risking rejection. So she bites her tongue, hides her heart behind pride, plays the part, tells herself if you really cared you'd reach out. That way she doesn't have to carry the weight of being the one who felt more. She'll stay silent even when it hurts. Even when her heart aches just to hear your name again. Because pride is stubborn. And sometimes it wins. But not because it's right. Only because it's louder in the moment. What she doesn't realize yet. Pride keeps her standing, but love, real love, is what would actually set her free. She's not just being distant. She's watching. Every second you don't text her back, she's taking mental notes. Not out of pettiness, out of curiosity. Out of pain. Out of that quiet hope that maybe you'll break the silence first. She's waiting, but not passively. This is a test. Not one she planned, but one her heart needed. If he really cared, he'd say something. That thought loops in her mind like a song stuck on repeat. Keeps her up some nights. Makes her stare at your name, wondering if your silence means peace or punishment. She's trying to figure you out without asking. Trying to measure your feelings by your stillness. Because in her world, no response says more than 100 words ever could. If you reach out, she wins, but something inside her loses too. Because it would prove she still matters, but also remind her she never let go. That's the contradiction she's stuck in. She doesn't want to chase. But she doesn't want to be forgotten either. So she waits, watches, checks your last scene, scrolls your post, looking for signs. It's cracks. And when she finds nothing, it drives her mad. Because silence from someone who used to feel like home, that kind of quiet cuts deep. She assumes your calm means closure. That you've made peace. That you've outgrown the parts of you that missed her. But she's wrong. Your silence isn't absence, it's intention. You're not playing her game. You're choosing your ground. And that's what really starts to shift the balance. Because the moment she realizes her silence didn't rattle you, it starts to rattle her. She expected a reaction. A message. A crack in your armor. But instead you stayed grounded. Focused. Unbothered. Not cold. Not cruel. Just composed. And that's powerful. Because now she's questioning her own silence. Wondering if maybe she misread everything. Did you let her go? Did you stop caring? It's the uncertainty that gets to her. The not knowing. The space between what she feels and what you show. She thought she could control the silence. Use it to gain clarity or maybe even control. But now it's backfiring. You're not reaching. You're not chasing. And she's starting to realize that silence doesn't guarantee power, it just creates distance. And in that distance doubt grows. She starts to miss the small things. Your words. Your presence. Your energy. But she doesn't know how to undo the test she started. Because once you don't respond the way she expected, the rules change. Now she's the one checking. She's the one waiting. Not for a message, but for a sign that she still has a place in your world. And what she doesn't understand yet is that the longer she waits, the more your silence starts to feel like strength. She didn't just walk away, she built a new version of the story. One where she was right. Where you were wrong. Where leaving made sense. At first, that story gave her comfort. It was her safety net. Her reason to stay silent. He didn't value me. I tried more than he did. I deserve better. She played those lines over and over, not to move on, but to survive. She needed to believe that letting go was the only choice. That you weren't good for her anymore. That staying would have meant losing herself. And for a while it worked. The narrative kept her head high. It made her feel strong. Independent. Above the mess. But stories like that only last until reality shows up. Then something shifts. A scent. The song. A place you once went. Suddenly the version she told herself doesn't hold as tight. Because no matter how many times she rewrites the past, the truth leaks through the cracks. Memories she tried to bury start to resurface. Moments you laughed. Times you showed up when no one else did. The way you looked at her like she was all you ever needed. And it doesn't add up anymore. If you were so wrong, why does she still feel this much? Why does she compare every new connection to the one she had with you? Why does her chest tighten when your name comes up, even in passing? Now she's torn between the version she created and the one she can't erase. She wants to believe the distance means growth, that this silence is proof she's healed. But in her quiet moments, doubt creeps in. Maybe she overreacted. Maybe she walked away too fast. Maybe you were trying in ways she didn't see. She replays old conversations now, listening to the words differently, picking up on the things she missed when she was hurt. It's humbling. It's uncomfortable. But it's real. Still, she doesn't text. She doesn't call. Because reaching out now means admitting the story was flawed. It means dropping the pride she clung to for weeks, maybe months. So instead, she rewrites it again. Makes new edits. Softens the blame. Adds layers to the reasons. Tries to make it all make sense without involving you. She's scared that if she lets you back in, it will undo all the work she's done to heal. But healing built on denial isn't healing, it's avoidance in disguise. She tells herself, if it was meant to be, it would have worked. But deep down another voice says, maybe I didn't give it enough time. Maybe I gave up too soon. So now she lives in between, caught between the past she misses and the pride she won't release. And until she's ready to admit the truth she buried under all that logic, her silence will speak louder than any apology ever could. She thought you'd fall apart without her. She expected late-night messages, emotional posts, regret dripping from your silence. But you didn't break. You built. While she was watching for signs of weakness, you were rebuilding your peace. That scared her more than anything. Because suddenly the man she left isn't the man she sees now. You're quieter but not cold. Present but not chasing. Focused, not frantic. And that's what shakes her, your stillness. Your glow. The peace she thought only existed when she was around. Now she's wondering how you're okay without her. She checks your photos. Reads between the lines of your silence. She notices the changes. The posture. The mindset. The shift. It's not bitterness. It's balance. And it makes her question everything. Was she a chapter or was she the story? Because the version of you now feels like something she no longer has access to. And that's the fear that hits hardest. Not losing you then, but realizing she might have lost the best version of you now. Most people expect pain to be loud. Crying. Calling. Begging. But your quiet evolution? That's louder than anything. She thought you'd spiral. Instead, you're rising. Every time she scrolls past your name, something in her tightens. Not because you're flaunting it, but because you're calm in ways she didn't expect. She's not used to men healing without drama, without trying to prove a point, without turning pain into attention. But you turned the silence into a sanctuary. You've grown in the dark and now she feels left behind. And it's not that she doesn't care. It's that she doesn't know if she fits into this version of your life anymore. She wonders if you still think about her, still miss her, still feel that old pull. But she doesn't ask. Because deep down she's scared of the answer. What if you've moved on? What if the door she's been quietly standing outside of is already closed? She keeps her distance not because she wants to, but because she doesn't know how to approach a man who doesn't need her to be whole. That's the power of healing in silence. It creates distance that can't be crossed with small talk or surface feelings. You didn't chase. You changed. And in doing that you forced her to reflect. Because now she's the one unsure. Now she's the one staring at the phone, wondering if she's too late. And maybe she is. But the point isn't whether you'll take her back. The point is, your growth made her realize what she lost. Not just you, but the man she never thought you'd become without her. Sometimes it's not her heart that's silent, it's her circle that's louder. She didn't come to this decision alone. Her friends had a hand in it. The group chat. The late-night phone calls. The brunch table advice. Don't be the first to text. Make him miss you. He's not worth it if he doesn't chase. And she nodded, not because she believed it fully, but because it was easier than explaining how much she still cares. Because in their eyes, missing you looks like weakness. Reaching out means losing. They told her to stay strong, but what they meant was stay silent. And the more she listened, the more their voices drowned out her own. That one friend who's always bitter. The other one who hasn't healed from her own heartbreak. They project their wounds as wisdom. Now, every time she wants to send a message, she hears them in her head. They're not living with the ache, she is. But pride mixed with peer pressure? That's a heavy cocktail. She might have typed your name 100 times, but she's been told not to be that girl. The one who reaches out first. The one who still feels. So instead of being honest, she performs. She posts like she's fine. Talks like she's over it. Laughs like none of it touches her anymore. But the truth? It eats at her. Because they can't hear the silence after midnight. They can't feel what she feels when your song plays. All they see is the version of her she lets them. The strong one. The indifferent one. They never see her rereading old texts or staring at your last picture. She wants to break the silence. She just doesn't want to break in front of them. And that's the trap, when your healing becomes a performance for the people around you. Every time she tries to follow her heart, their opinions pull her back. Don't give him the satisfaction. Remember what he did. You're too good for him. And maybe some of it is true. But most of it is fear, passed down, repackaged as strength. So she stays quiet not because she's healed, but because she's scared of being judged for still feeling. It's not you she's resisting, it's the shame they've wrapped around her vulnerability. They've convinced her that love equals losing control. That softness is dangerous. That texting you means surrender. But deep down she knows none of them carry her memories. None of them shared your laughs. None of them know how it felt when you looked at her like she was everything. She remembers. She still does. But until she can silence their noise, her voice will stay hidden behind opinions that were never hers to begin with. She's not living her best life the way it looks. It's not all peace and progress, it's a performance. The smiles, the outings, the new beginnings, they're not lies, but they're not the whole truth either. She's painting a version of life she wants to believe in. A version without you. A version where she's fine. She tells herself she's freer now. Stronger. Lighter. But that freedom feels hollow some days. Because even with new conversations and fresh attention, there's a space no one fills. She laughs, but it doesn't hit her soul the same. She goes out, but comes home feeling a little more empty than she wants to admit. There might be someone new texting her. Maybe even taking her out. But he doesn't know her the way you did. He doesn't finish her thoughts. Doesn't see through her moods. Doesn't make her feel like home. She's trying to convince herself this is growth. That letting go was the right move. But sometimes, even in the middle of a good moment, she gets quiet. That's when her mind drifts. Not to the bad. Not to the fights. But to the softness. The quiet talks. The way her hand fit in yours without trying. And just like that, the fantasy starts to crack. Because now she's comparing. And nothing feels quite as deep. No spark as electric. No comfort as natural. But she won't reach out. Because if she does, she has to admit that the new chapter isn't the upgrade she told herself it would be. And that's hard. It means her healing wasn't complete. That the closure wasn't real. So instead she keeps pretending. She dresses up. She posts captions about growth. She shares quotes about moving on. But the silence in between those moments? That's where the truth lives. When the makeup's off. When the party's over. When the phone is quiet. That's when she feels it the most. The ache she thought would fade. She remembers the version of herself that existed only when she was with you. The softness. The openness. The peace. It's not about missing the relationship. It's about missing who she was in it. Because that version of her, only you got to see. She's trying to rebuild, but the blueprint doesn't look right without you in it. Still, she won't say it out loud. She'll protect the fantasy as long as she can. Because admitting it wasn't better without you means admitting she made a mistake. And that's harder than pretending she's fine. So she stays quiet. Keeps smiling. Keeps pushing forward. But every day the illusion fades just a little more. And one day when it breaks completely, she'll remember the one thing that never felt fake. She's waiting, but not for peace. For power. This isn't about love anymore. It's about who breaks first. She's got your thread open. Notifications still on. But she refuses to type the first word. Because in her mind, if you text first, she still matters. She texts first, it feels like defeat. That's the twisted reality she's living in now. A quiet competition where no one wins but someone has to lose. And no matter how much she misses you, she'd rather suffer than surrender. The silence to her is strategy. A way to protect her ego. A way to stay on top in a game built from pride and pain. She checks your page but won't interact. Watches your stories but never responds. Leaves your name unread, even when her heart's screaming to connect. This is the price of wanting to feel powerful without looking vulnerable. She thinks you'll give in first. That you'll cave to the weight of missing her. That your resolve will break before hers does. But you didn't. And that's where the shift begins. Because now the silence isn't working the way she thought it would. She expected a message. A slip. A sign of weakness. Instead, all she gets is your stillness. Calm. Composed. Centered. That shakes her more than a dozen angry texts ever could. She wanted to feel chased. Needed. Wanted. But your quiet confidence makes her question everything. Now she's the one who feels the tension rise every time her phone lights up, hoping it's your name. But it never is. And that absence. It's deafening. It's in the songs she used to skip with you. The roads you used to drive together. It's in the small routines that still carry your shadow. She tells herself she's winning, but it doesn't feel like victory. Because winning a power struggle means nothing when you still lose sleep thinking about the person you're avoiding. She thought holding out would bring clarity, closure, control. But instead it brought emptiness. A hollow kind of silence that doesn't soothe, just lingers. She wanted you to chase to prove you still care. But when you didn't, it forced her to confront the question she didn't want to face. What if he really let go? That thought haunts her more than your absence. Because now she realizes, control isn't connection. Pride isn't peace. And all this waiting? It hasn't made the feelings disappear. It just buried them under a layer of fear and ego. She's still hoping you'll break first. Still hoping you'll fold. But deep down she knows your silence isn't weakness. It's acceptance. And that's the one thing she wasn't prepared for. Because when a man accepts the silence instead of fighting it, the game ends. And so does the illusion that she ever had the upper hand. Texting you doesn't just mean reconnecting. It means reopening wounds she worked hard to close. It's not as simple as just say hi. That message would carry weight. History. Emotion. Because once she reaches out, the walls fall. The mask slips. And that scares her more than silence ever could. She's been holding it in, forcing the tears to dry before anyone sees. Pretending like your absence doesn't ache in waves. But it does. She feels it in the pauses between conversations. In the laughter that doesn't last. In the quiet when everyone else has gone to sleep. Still she holds back. Because vulnerability comes with risk. What if you don't reply? Or worse, what if you've changed too much to care? So she convinces herself staying quiet is safer. Less damaging. But healing doesn't happen in hiding. It happens when you face the pain. And right now she's avoiding. Not healing. Every time she thinks about texting you, she remembers what she felt the last time things ended. The disappointment. The confusion. The fear of loving more than she was loved back. She's scared that one message will put her back in that place again. So she rewrites the text. Deletes it. Then tells herself it's better this way. But it doesn't feel better. It just feels unfinished. She wonders if you're thinking about her too. If you feel the same tug late at night. But she won't ask. She can't. Because asking means exposing the truth she's been trying to outrun. That she's not over it. Not really. Everyone around her thinks she's fine. They see her smiling, laughing, thriving. But they don't see the hesitation when she hears your name. The way her breath catches when someone mentions the past. She hasn't let go. She's just hiding it better now. You see, reaching out would unravel everything she's built. The image. The strength. The story she's been telling herself just to get through the day. And once the words are sent, there's no taking them back. She'll have to deal with whatever comes next, your response or your silence. And she's not sure which one would hurt more. So she waits. Not because she's over you. But because she's not ready to feel everything again. She's scared of what it might awaken. Old emotions. Buried hopes. A love that still lingers even when unspoken. And until she's ready to handle all of it, your voice, your presence, your truth, she'll stay in the background. Watching. Thinking. remembering, but not speaking. Because once she speaks, she admits. And once she admits, there's no pretending left. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's power. You're not reacting, you're responding. Not chasing but choosing. And that shift, it's something she never expected. She thought your quiet would be a surrender, a sign you'd given up. Instead, it's a statement. A declaration that you're whole with or without her. Your calm doesn't scream. It whispers strength. It shows her you're not caught in the chaos of missing her. You're living, focused on your growth, your peace, your future. That steadiness unsettles her. Because it breaks the script she's been following. She imagined you spiraling, needing, begging. But you didn't. That leaves her wondering, does he even care anymore? And that question, it pulls her back. Curiosity replaces certainty. Doubt replaces pride. She starts to see your silence not as absence but as presence. Not as rejection but as respect, for yourself and for her. You're not trying to control the narrative. You're simply owning your part in it. That kind of strength isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet, grounded, unshakable. And it's magnetic. She notices how you don't beg for attention or plead for love. How you don't fill the silence with excuses or apologies. You don't scramble to fix what's broken. You just are. And that presence makes her question her own walls. Why is she still holding on to pride when you've already let go of the pain? Why is she still waiting for a reaction when you've already accepted the silence? Your calmness shifts the balance. It rewrites the story she told herself about you. Because the man she thought she lost? He's still here. But stronger, wiser, more in control. And that realization shakes her. It challenges everything she thought she knew about you, and about herself. Her silence becomes less about protecting herself and more about protecting her heart from the truth. That maybe, just maybe, you moved on, but not by running away. You moved on by standing firm. By choosing growth over grief. By refusing to let pain define you. And when a man reaches that place, the game changes. The chase loses meaning. The power struggles fall flat. Because there's no need to prove anything to anyone, not even to her. Your quiet confidence tells her you're not waiting for her validation. You don't need her to heal. You don't need her to feel whole. And that's the message that breaks the cycle. That makes her question why she ever let you go. Because strength like that? It's unforgettable. It's the kind of silence that speaks volumes. And it's the kind of man she'll remember long after the words stop. When you choose calm over chaos, strength over desperation, you don't just change the story, you change the future. Stay grounded, stay patient, and watch how your silence becomes the loudest message she can't ignore. If you found this meaningful, hit subscribe and join me for more real talk on love, growth, and mastering your own power. Your next level starts here.